Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Gut Wrench Podcast. I'm your host, Mocha, and welcome to the anniversary show. And yes, this week, or this episode, as well as not the next episode on the 8th, but the episode after that episode on the 8th would be the 15th. So the episode on the 15th of October, I will also be doing more giveaways. How do you participate in the giveaways? The anniversary show is today. How do you participate in the giveaways before I get into the the pay-per-view that we watched this week? Here's how you participate in the giveaways. I will have gift cards and or cash amounts in Cash App, on PayPal, or a directory. I will have a directory in order to fund your account. All you have to do is DM me. If you do not DM me, then I cannot fund your account. I know, it sounds like one of those, call this 1-800 number now and you will receive $15,000 in your bank account. Do you have free money laying around somewhere? Well, if you call this 1-800 number, give us your social security number, your mom's maiden name, what street address that you lived in, and your email address and password, we can identify for you what lost assets that you have. So call the 1-800 number today. And then, he's like a bad salesman trying to get you to call his scammy 1-800 number. That's why I had to wait until like 4 in the morning so that he could promote his commercial on television when no one except crackheads are up all night watching TV because they think that the government's coming to get them. Anyway, this week, despite the giveaway, it's not a scam. That's a promise. That's a guarantee. It's not a scam. Nonetheless, what I mean to say is, if you DM me, and this goes for the first, and I can't do it for everyone, okay? So I'm going to have to circumvent this somehow. This goes for the first 5 people to DM me and then say that they want to participate in the giveaway. So the first 5 people between today and between Friday, okay? So it's Saturday now, or it's going to be Saturday. After this is posted, it's Friday night for me, but it's going to be Saturday whenever this goes up, Saturday morning, and then I'll give you practically 6 whole days. And then after that, it'll be null and void. Whenever the clock strikes midnight, Thursday bleeding into Friday, Friday bleeding into, Thursday bleeding into Friday, because I said Friday night, it's done. Monday through Saturday through Friday, rather, it's done. Anyway, had that been the case, thank you all so much for joining me. My name is Mocha, and also something else that I forgot to report on that I was so excited to report on last week is Saraya. You might know her as Paige from the WWE, but we're not going to entertain her name as Paige anymore, I suppose. Saraya recently made her AEW debut. Now, throughout this past week and throughout the week that she did make her AEW debut, all I keep hearing or all I keep seeing on Twitter is stuff like, oh, she's back? Well, I didn't want her to come back like this. Boo-hoo. Boo-hoo. Woe is me. Oh my goodness, I didn't want her to come back like this. I wanted her to come back in the WWE. Where's Paige? I miss Paige. Oh, where is she? Who's Saraya? I'm not happy about this. And they're the same people who said, I want Paige, and I want her to come back to wrestling. It's like you can't please these people. Kind of like, I'm damned if I do, and I'm damned if I don't. Why can't you just be happy that she's back, rather than trying to throw a piss party about the fact that she's in a different company? Why did she have to go to them? Why couldn't she just stay with WWE? Boo-hoo. I'm mad, and I'm sad, and I'm upset, and somebody pissed in my Cheerios. Boo-hoo. Get over it. Anyway, Saraya had returned to AEW, and myself, quite frankly, I was happy that she had returned in any capacity at all. And whether that's as a referee, or whether that is as a commentator, or a backstage hand, a manager, a valet, there's many different roles that you can take. I mean, she could be backstage interviewing people. She could be a wellness coach in AEW. She could be a producer, much like Chris Jericho is. Some sort of backstage hand, or some sort of production value to AEW in one form or another. But it appears that she is a active competitor, because on the website AEW.com, she seems to have some sort of record. And her record reflects 0 wins, 0 losses, 0 draws. But if that's the case, then I'm happy to see her back in any capacity whatsoever, whether that is as a competitor or as a third-party affiliate in any way, shape, or form whatsoever. Now, for the anniversary show, I thought, what can I do? And I've been racking my brain, trying to figure it out, until it dawned on me on Thursday, whenever I was about to go to sleep at 11 o'clock at night, and I realized that if I don't do something, then I'm going to be left doing it all Friday night, which is tonight. And I don't want to have to cram it all down into one episode. But I spent until Thursday trying to figure out what it is that I'm going to do. I also waited until the last minute to try to find my other notebook that I had, because what I wanted to do was I wanted to take the very first Gut Wrench podcast episode. The very first Gut Wrench podcast episode that was recorded October 3rd, 2021. Rather, uploaded October 3rd, 2021. And what I wanted to do was take that episode, or take the notes that I had from that episode and compare them to the notes that I have now. Because, ladies and gentlemen, I just brought you a full calendar year of nothing but content. Why do I say that? Well, in front of me, I have the same event that I previously watched. This makes the third time that I have watched it, believe it or not. So, the first time that I watched it, I don't know how exactly to go about explaining it. But rather, what I mean to say is that I wanted to take that old notebook that I had, and I wanted to compare it to the notes that I have here and now, and draw some, and also for consistency reasons, but draw some parallels, if you will. Look at those notes and then say, hey, here's what I ranked it then, and here's what I'm ranking it now. And then think, why would I rank it here at so-and-so an amount of stars, whenever I would rank it here at so-and-so an amount of stars? The only two rankings that I possibly remember off the top of my head is the co-main event and the main event. So the main event, I remember specifically jumping up and down in joy, saying something along the lines of, yeah, 5 out of 5 stars, oh my god, such a banger of a match, and only having one disappointment to the entire event, and that being the ending. And it's not the entire ending, like the way that the event ended per se. Kind of like a plot hole wasn't exactly resolved. Hey, we'll talk about that here in just a second. I keep yawning and I don't know why. I must be extremely tired. Okay. But with these notes in front of me, and not the first notes that we took, but rather the notes that I took whenever it comes to this event that I just got done watching between yesterday and today, Extreme Rules 2021. And not only did I watch this event, but also I had done a YouTube video on it. And I remember that video, I hadn't went back and watched it or anything, but I remember that video, how I specifically talked in general about the fact that people on Twitter were, and I remember seeing people on Twitter going crazy. They were just like, oh, hashtag regular rules, or hashtag extreme rules sucks. Because throughout this entire event, the name of the pay-per-view is Extreme Rules. And I remember talking about this on my YouTube channel as well. The fact that whenever they make a pay-per-view name, that's usually the gimmick that they stick with. And in that regard, what I mean to say is, take Hell in a Cell for an example. Whenever they make a pay-per-view event based on the name of a wrestling match, usually every match, or almost every match, at least 2 or 3 or 4 matches have that same gimmick. It's not just, oh, one match, that one main event match, is the entire premise of our, I'm going to put this in air quotes, pay-per-view gimmick, because there was only one, count them, only one Extreme Rules match in this entire event, despite the event name actually being Extreme Rules. Whenever they make Hell in a Cell, for instance, I remember there's like countless Hell in a Cell matches at the Hell in a Cell event, because that's what the entire event is wrapped around, practically. That's what they named the event after. Like, if they make an event and call it Steel Cage on Fire, you would expect to see at least 2 or 3 Steel Cages on Fire. Whenever they make an event and they name it War Games, you would expect to at least see 2 to 3 War Games matches. But I just don't know what to say here, because, like I said on my YouTube channel, Extreme Rules. Everybody kept hashtagging regular rules, and I thought it's kind of funny if you think about it. Hashtag regular rules. These are all just regular rules matches. So anyway, let's go to the opening of that event. One thing that I did note, however, is the fact that the WWE champion at this time, Big E Langston, in this 6-man tag team match that we have, even though he is the WWE champion, and he is, for that matter, it bothers me. It bothers me that they couldn't have had, like, a rematch between Lashley and Big E. Instead, they have to have Big E, Kofi, and Xavier versus AJ Styles, Omos, and Bobby Lashley. And the one thing that they talked about was the fact that the draft was coming up. That apparently was a huge role in this. Playing a huge role in this. And then later on in the night, Bobby Lashley would go on to say, Big E, you are a chicken shit. And then he said, to win in the fashion that you won in, it is bullcrap. You know, you hide behind Xavier and you hide behind Kofi, and the way that Big E ends up winning here is it's just a miscue from AJ Styles and Bobby Lashley. Whenever Big E is in the ring, AJ goes for a phenomenal forearm. He ends up missing, and then trying to rebound himself off the ropes, and E is caught between Lashley and AJ. So what he decides to do is he decides to roll out of the way. Langston does, and when he does, AJ gets hit with a spear. AJ being the last person to tag in from a blind tag that Bobby Lashley didn't see until the last minute. And Bobby hit AJ with a spear. Bobby rolled out of the ring, and instantly Big E covers AJ after Bobby just hit AJ with the spear. And if you've seen this event, then you already knew what happened. Langston ends up pinning AJ off of the spear and the miscommunication between him and his tag team partner, Bobby Lashley. Lashley lost the title due to a Money in the Bank cash-in by Big E. And if memory serves me correct, because they did talk about it here on this event, in particular, what ended up happening was Bobby would challenge E to a proper rematch on the following night, Monday Night Raw. But if you know how Money in the Bank works, which Money in the Bank was the pay-per-view, if I'm correct, it happened somewhere in June or July. And after June or July comes August, which means it's SummerSlam, because they did talk about SummerSlam too, and don't worry, we'll get to some SummerSlam highlights from SummerSlam 2021, which a lot of people were also mad about the fact that Becky Lynch had beaten Bianca Belair, for instance, in 26 seconds nonetheless. I thought that was a really good decision by them. Just to have Becky come back in the fashion that she did made her look so dominant. But a lot of other people were kind of like, oh, but Bianca had such a strong run, and just to end it in 26 seconds is kind of, well, it's kind of disrespectful. But me, I was like, oh, look at that, Becky, she's back. Yeah, let's go, big time Bex. Yes. Woo, Becky Balboa, baby. You know, I was plugging all the Becky things that she used to say. Why is the WWE Championship not being defended? That was my question. This match went on way too long, though, honestly, because it was the opening contest. It went on for 30 minutes. Well, also counting entrances and stuff, but entrances and stuff was just like 2 minutes, maybe 5 minutes, you know, but still 4.5 to 5 minutes, which means that this match alone went 27 minutes to 29 minutes. It went on far too long, and I feel as though that they could have found a conclusion. Don't get me wrong, I get it, 6-man tag team match. They would have to get everybody's crap in. Oh, these two, they've got to butt heads, and oh, look at that, hot tag, and then the sequence, and then the hot tag comes in, and then fired up, and then the big powerhouse comes in, he's fired up, and then, oh, here comes the acrobatic guys, and now they're all jumping off the walls. Oh, what's he going to do next? 450 splash. No, he misses. Oh, look at that, technical wrestling. Oh, you know, like, I know how to sequence a wrestling match. And then, of course, there was the, oh, here comes the powerhouses. Oh, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Mozzarella, you know, some cheese. Bam, throw that in the oven. What do you get? Boom, pepperoni pizza. You know, like, flavor. Like, I get what they were doing. I just wish that it didn't take as long. Even for a 6-man tag team match, and it just goes to prove my point. They could have shaved this match down by half if they would have just put Lashley and Big E in a one-on-one contest, and the following Monday night on Raw, they wouldn't have to have this match. They would have already had it for the pay-per-view, and it would have freed up a spot. See, put me in charge, WWE. I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm doing. You can trust me with your finances. Please. I'm struggling out here. Anyway, next we get the WWE Tag Team Championships being on the line. One of 2 matches featuring the Bloodline. And no, that wasn't supposed to rhyme. And, of course, it continued to rhyme. WWE SmackDown Tag Team Championships are on the line as the Street Profits, Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford, face off against Jimmy and Jay, the Uso brothers. So what happened? Okay, so what happened last week, basically, the Friday before this Sunday, was the fact that Montez Ford got the holy hell beat out of him. Simply because Montez Ford, well, they just see him as a threat. But Dawkins was busy and he had to go to a wedding. And Ford had to wrestle, And he's a tag team wrestler. But Roman Reigns, as Pat McAfee put it, thought he would set an example before the bloodline got to picking at the bones, so to speak. So, Roman Reigns did a number on Montez Ford. He beat his ribs, he beat his kidneys. Apparently, he put him in a standing guillotine. He just leveled him, basically. He put this boy through hell in a handbasket on an episode of Friday Night SmackDown before the titular pay-per-view. And I gave this match 4 out of 5 stars. Did I say what I gave the 6-man tag team match? I gave the 6-man tag team match 3 out of 5 stars. I suppose that the ratings themselves aren't really important. It's the fact that I looked at them and the fact that I'm here to tell the story. The best match of the night, probably, debatably, and arguably, was the match between Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. And this was one of those matches that I remembered seeing and that I didn't care to watch again because it is a beautiful contest and a beautiful storytelling. And for that matter, I'm sorry, my cat's. She wants under a blanket. And for that matter, it is a beautiful wrestling match. These two have such good chemistry together. Almost said Kilmusty, and I don't know why. That's not even a word. Highlights from SummerSlam 2021 showing Charlotte becoming a 12-time women's champion. So they showed some highlights a little bit of Charlotte beating everyone, and Michael Cole just says, well, Charlotte beat Eva Marie. Okay. There were like 6 or 7 women in the highlight stills that they showed. Like, there was Natalya, there was Charlotte. I don't remember seeing Eva Marie in the still that they showed. Like, it was almost like a screenshot from someone's phone, Like, it's not important, though. Alexa and Charlotte are the two that we will be discussing. They talked about SummerSlam. Because I guess it's the last pay-per-view. Also, I have a note here that tells me to talk about the evolution of Alexa. I'll try to make this really brief, but Alexa Bliss used to come out basically bearing a tutu, and she used to blow fairy dust or pixie dust or glitter, or whatever it is that she would blow at the crowd, and she would come out and she had this very upbeat type music, and there's nothing wrong with the upbeat type music and the fact that, she was embracing like a cheerleader phase, sort of, kind of, or, a dance rehearsal phase. And I was asking another person who I was talking to about it on an interview that didn't get fully recorded due to the fact that I tried to start this podcast in February of 2020. Not 2021, but 2020. And it didn't go too well for me. So there was one interview I tried to conduct, but my software did not allow me to record that interview. Had that been the case, though, in said interview that was not recorded, he ended up telling me that he finds that Alexa is, quote, a fairy. At that point in time, at least, she was. And I don't really know how accurate that is, but let me tell you, this girl has come a long way from where she used to be. Character development wise, Alexa has really blossomed whenever it comes to just everything. I mean, she went from that to practically doing the whole Harley Quinn thing, or the Freddy Krueger thing rather, the Harley Quinn thing, to calling herself the goddess of WWE. Just, if you was to make a tier list of Alexa Bliss, you would see the evolution, both physically and as well as like her emotional, her physical being. Exactly who she became. She became Alexa Bliss, who is in a league all her own, if you really stop to think about it. So it showed highlights from Charlotte's match at SummerSlam, where she became a 12-time women's champion. The Raw Women's Championship match, as Alexa Bliss faces off against Charlotte Flair. Now, a lot of this was to do with the fact that Alexa had, I guess you could say, forgotten who she was, and Charlotte just felt like she was on top of the world. And Charlotte as well, if you look at the evolution of Charlotte Flair from NXT to back then, 2021, she would come out in NXT and say, I am genetically superior. And that's all that she would say. And she would give some quack reasons, I suppose, but, you know, they would just be like monologue reasons. She's genetically superior because her father can pay for a limo, or she's genetically superior because, you know, she's got the title, and they weren't really like real reasons as to why she was, quote, genetically superior. And now she no longer says that she's genetically superior. She just comes out and she's herself, basically. Even though she does say it, she doesn't actually say that. She's just like, I'm better than everyone in this arena, and there's nothing that any of you can do about it. And if you think about it, Alexa in 2018, keep in mind, this is 2021, that we're looking at, in 2018 was the first woman to win a elimination chamber, if memory serves me correct. And I would be willing to stake my reputation, without Googling it, I can tell you that she was the first woman to win an elimination chamber, because I looked at that. I looked at what they referred to as a history-making first ever woman's elimination chamber in 2018. However, I gave this match 4 out of 5 stars. And I feel as though that's what I gave it last time as well. Nothing really changed. The story stayed the same, and for that matter, just everybody played their part so well. Like, whenever you get Alexa together with Charlotte, they've got chemistry. And honestly, as a wrestling fan, the performance of these women is, bar none, cannot be beat. I suppose if they would have taken it a little bit further, maybe if there was a gimmick match between the two of them, the match ends basically whenever Charlotte I forget how she wins, but she ends up winning in one fashion or another. And whenever she does, she takes that doll that Alexa has, Lily, and just rips it in half and throws Alexa to the other side of the announce table. Whenever she does that, Alexa gets up and Bliss is beyond mad, and she's also in tears, or at least she's acting as though that she's very distraught and sad, and she just basically starts screaming and crying, and because someone ripped Lily in half. And I don't know. It's just another layer to the evolution of Alexa Bliss. And whether it's with the Fiend or whether it's without the Fiend, it just speaks volumes for Alexa's character. Because my favorite Alexa, if you were to ask me, the goddess of WWE. And at that time, Mandy Rose was also on the main roster, and she was calling herself the Golden Goddess. So it's really funny to see two people playing the same part. Well, sorta. Even though Alexa and Mandy never really, had scrap together. Then we go to the United States title match as Jeff Hardy versus Sheamus versus Damian Priest. I don't remember what I gave this match. But here I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. And it's the United States Championship match as the champion Damian Priest faces off against Sheamus and Jeff Hardy. And I can't tell you the number of times that they have to constantly remind us, because they act like that we're fish and we only have like a 10-second memory span. But they have to remind us constantly that this is a triple threat match, or at least they feel the need to always remind us that, 1, this is a triple threat match, and 2, that the champion's advantage doesn't exist, and 3, if Sheamus pins Jeff Hardy, then Damian Priest loses his title. If Jeff Hardy pins or makes Sheamus submit, then Damian Priest loses his championship despite the fact that he wasn't involved in the decision. It's almost like they've got a piece of paper in front of them that says, say it as many times as possible before the match is over. It's like, why do you continue to insult your audience, WWE? And I'm pretty sure they understand what a triple threat match is. I'm pretty sure they know what it is that you get where I'm coming from, right? It's pretty frustrating whenever you have to listen to a parakeet like Michael Cole. Quack, quack. This is a triple threat match. Quack. This is a triple threat match. Oh, Sheamus is pinning Jeff Hardy. That must mean that Damian Priest can lose his title. Quack. Sheamus is doing what Cody Rhodes did in his first WWE run. So at the time, Cody Rhodes, back in 2011, 2012, Cody Rhodes, for whatever reason, had like this mask that he put on, And it wasn't, your typical wrestling mask. It was like a protective guard for his nose. And he would come out with people dressed up in nice suits and hand out paper bags and tell the people to put the paper bags over their heads because he didn't want to look at them. Now, Sheamus hasn't taken it that far, but the one thing that Sheamus has done is basically to put it into context. He's basically still in the whole, hey boss, I came in today and I broke my nose. Could you give me like a plastic guard to put on it? And then, he's kind of using that whole plastic guard to his advantage. Now, he doesn't take it off, really, and smack anyone in the face with it. He doesn't use it as a weapon like Cody did whenever he had it. Granted, even though he doesn't really try to take advantage of it, despite him being a heel character who's much of a party pooper, Sheamus, he's just like, hey, I don't want to see you having fun, and if you are having fun, then we can't be friends, so it's either have fun or be my friend. It's just the way that he comes across, and if that's the case, then I would rather not be your friend. Jeff Hardy versus Sheamus versus Damian Priest, who is the champion for the United States Championship match. And after Priest wins, he ends up shaking Jeff Hardy's hand and raising his hand at the end of the match. They have respect for each other, or at least that's what commentary leads us to believe. And Sheamus walks away, and he's looking very distraught, very mad, very unhappy about it. Like whenever he's up at the ramp to the wrestling ring, to the entryway, he's kind of like pulling his hair out, and he looks all mad. So it shows highlights from SummerSlam. Oh, okay. 3.5 out of 5 stars for that match. It was fairly decent. Mid-card match, but I feel as though that it shouldn't have been like right there. If anything, priorities, WWE priorities. Charlotte and Alexa should have been the co-main event. That's what I feel. So Big E versus Lashley, Charlotte and Alexa should have been the co-main event instead of the third match. What did they do to earn the ire of being the mid-card? I'll never know. But it shows highlights from SummerSlam where Becky beat Bianca in record time after she won the title. She goes from calling herself the EST to calling herself the BEST. Talk about how that's not always true. So I had a whole speech prepared basically to let people know that it's not always true. Whenever you're the champion, you're the, quote, best in your division, or for that matter, the best in the company. I don't really know how to format that speech per se, but I wanted to, give little examples. Let's say Hulk Hogan wins the world title, that doesn't mean anything. It could just be a publicity stunt. It could just be for him to promote his new movie, or for that matter, like, it doesn't necessarily mean that he is the best. The championship is only as good as you, the champion, make it. So whenever I heard that on commentary, Michael Cole, for whatever reason, says Bianca just went from EST to BEST. Think about people like Ric Flair. He made the title as relevant as what it was by the constant cutting of his promos, by the way that he spoke and the way that he carried himself. He could care less about anybody but himself, because that championship was the only thing that he wanted to make number one. He wanted that title to be the number one standard in the company that he worked for, and for that matter, in the world. Ric Flair actually said something back whenever he was champion that stuck with me. He said, this business is about two things: cashing checks and breaking necks. I'm sorry, I had to remember it. But, I mean, he's not wrong if you think about it. Really, he's making a good point whenever he says that. I mean, and if you break enough necks, if you think about it, you'll be cashing those people's checks, because, you know, your pay raise will go up. Because basically, think about it. If there's 8 executives in one office, right? And they're all getting paid the same thing to do the same thing. Why would there be 8 of them? I don't know. Just bear with me 1 second. There's 8 executives in one office, and let's say 5 of them get canned. Then the other 3 executives are the only 3 that are left. They're more than likely going to get the paychecks of those who got fired, because they want to keep you, right? They want to keep you around, right? So why wouldn't they raise your pay little by little by little? You know, they want to make you feel appreciated, if not just for a little bit. But what I mean to say is, Ric Flair, possibly one of the best promoters or promo cutters of all time. It shows highlights from SummerSlam where Becky beat Bianca, and we get to that match, and usually I write down highlights from a wrestling match. This time I didn't do that, but one particular part in this match that really got me was the fact that Bianca sent Becky outside the ring, and Becky got to hear what Michael Cole said, and she got pretty mad about it. So I'm pretty sure Becky came back from the whole pregnancy thing, right? And she was out for like a year and 3 months, or 4 or 5 months, according to commentary. A year and a half. So anyway, if that's the case, Belair almost like shoves or trips Becky out of the ring, and whenever Becky gets over to the commentary table, Michael Cole says, and right in front of Becky's face, he basically says, and now Becky's probably thinking, what do I got to do to put her away? And Lynch looks straight at Michael Cole and says, That wasn't what I said, Michael. That wasn't what I was thinking. Stop trying to put words in my mouth. And then she says, I have a plan. The entire match, Becky almost looks like she's seen a ghost every time that Belair kicks out. You'll barely see a 2 count, or you'll see the 2 count, and then you'll see like Becky, and she'll look like, what do I got to do to put this girl away? You know, what do I got to do to end this finally? I don't care that much for Bianca, and as far as the first time watching this, or for that matter, the first notes that I took, I can't remember where I ranked this match. I'm almost certain, beyond certain, that I gave Alexa and Charlotte 4 out of 5. I'm not sure why would I care, is what some of you might be asking, but for me it's about consistency. See, I couldn't find that other notebook, and I don't know where it's at, so I'm going purely off of instinct in hopes that I'm consistent enough to know, like, if all of these rankings, if at least 2 or 3 of them aren't correct on that first notebook that I had, then I guess what I'm saying is my ratings depend upon what mood I'm in, you know? And that's not a consistent thing to base a rating off of. Because you should put your emotions in your back pocket whenever you're doing a rating, whether that be like a movie or a video game or anything of that nature. You just can't give something 5 stars because you felt good that day. Yeah, just gonna have to give that a 5-star stamp of approval, baby. Woo, yeah, that's gonna get that 5 stars. But anyway, what I mean to say is that this match in particular, I don't remember what it was that I originally rated it, but for this right here, because of the story that they told, it's all about Bianca. It's all about her trying to get her spot back. It's all about Bianca trying to tear down the house, and Becky practically without any sort of leg to stand on, so to speak. And Becky almost had her 2-3 times. And I know what you're thinking. I just spoiled the match, right? Becky almost had her. Well, you're wrong, because in comes Sasha Banks, who is supposed to be, according to commentary, supposed to be the original opponent for Becky, or rather for Belair, but Sasha couldn't make it to the SummerSlam event. But we're not talking about SummerSlam here, but they keep mentioning SummerSlam despite this not being SummerSlam. This is Extreme Rules. But Sasha Banks comes in and she basically costs Belair the match. And then Becky goes to hug Sasha Banks, and Sasha lets her have it. That was our co-main event. Our main event is for the WWE Universal Championship. Roman Reigns, our champion and our tribal chief for 391 days, versus Finn Balor, the Demon. So the Demon is a persona that Finn basically conjures up whenever he's head over heels, almost like in trouble. And it's almost like if you've ever played a video game and you face stage 1 of a boss, only to find out that there's multiple phases or multiple parts rather to that boss, or for that matter, that you take Final Fantasy X for example. If you've never played that game, there's this dumbass that keeps showing up and his name's Seymour. So Seymour shows up a number of times because a girl rejects him. The girl's name is Yuna. Yuna tells him multiple times, "No, I'm not going to marry you, you stupid bastard." But Seymour, he will not take no for an answer. And the people who are supposed to be protecting Yuna this entire time, one of them's jealous, the other ones, they could give all fuck about it as long as she continues her pilgrimage to go fight Sin. I'm not trying to make this a video game review, or I'm not trying to pad for time. It's simply me making alliteration to the fact that Finn Balor, in a way, has a lot in common with Seymour from Final Fantasy X, even though he kind of doesn't, because Seymour's looking to destroy the world. Finn Balor's just looking to take over the world at professional wrestling, if you think about it. 391. That's the number of days that Roman Reigns, at this point in time, had held the Universal Championship. We are almost a full calendar year from this man holding the Universal Championship. If you'll remember, he originally beat, if I remember correctly, it was Bray Wyatt. I can't remember what event that was at, though. But I suppose if I was to sidetrack myself 391 or 390 days back from where I'm looking at this, but I don't remember seeing a like August, November, like I don't remember seeing a date for this. So at this point in time, he only had the Universal title, so that leads me to believe that somewhere down the line he gets Big E or Bobby Lashley or The Miz. He gets the WWE Championship somewhere down the line. And it's clear to me that he had the WWE Universal Champion first. Had it been up to me, though, I would have done this match a little bit differently. So I know that I said earlier that I would give Bobby Lashley the WWE Championship match against Big E Langston. But if I were to scrap that idea, and let's say that Big E wasn't the WWE Champion, I would have given it to Roman at around the same time that he won the Universal title, had I would have known that it was going this far. And on top of that, I would have made this match right here for one of two of those titles. Keep that in mind. One of two of those titles. And the Universal title seems as though that it is the lowest, or at least it is lower than the WWE Championship, because the WWE Championship in a lot of circles is regarded as the highest accomplishment in WWE. So had that been the case, I would have put the WWE Universal Championship, I feel as though that they did that correctly, on the line. And had that been the case, I would have reversed the decision here in one way or another. I mean, we see a lot of spots here. We see the fact that in commentary they say that the Demon is undefeated in WWE. He has these kendo sticks, and there's like 4 of them taped together, and they look like they're fucking massive too. We get a holy shit chant. We get a this is awesome chant. We get not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 table spots, including putting Roman through a table. Actually, he gets put through 2 tables, putting Finn Balor through 1 table, and I can't remember who the 4th table was, but I remember that it was an announce table. The top rope breaks. Spear number 3 gets it done, gets him the win. Now, I remember giving this one much more than 3 out of 5 stars. I can't remember whether it was 3.5 or whether it was 4, or it could have actually been 5 as well. I remember it being something of that nature because I was so happy about it. But at the same time, there's so many inconsistencies here. So, as I talked about on my YouTube channel and as I talked about on here, at least at the time that this happened, I talked about it on my YouTube channel. There's not a new video up if you're trying to look for it right now. The one thing that I would like to mention is the fact that whenever Finn Balor goes up top, it almost seems as though that he was primed for victory to win. The lights go out, except they come back on, except whenever they do come back on, it's like this red just hue, and all you see is red. And then Finn Balor just comes to life. He was basically on the ground. He had been broken in half by a spear, and he just springs to life. All of a sudden, grabs like a kendo stick, and then gets to wailing on Roman Reigns. He grabs a steel chair, not a kendo stick, and he gets to wailing on Roman Reigns, and he's got Roman right in the middle of the ring, right where he wants him. He's about to hit that fabulous coup de grace, and you know what happens? The ring rope snaps. So it sends Finn Balor tumbling to the ground. The red hue that I mentioned that was over the arena, the red lighting, it goes away. And Roman just picks apart the bones. Almost like whenever Finn hit the mat off of that Superman punch, after Roman gets back up, he looks straight at Finn and then he says, just let it happen. And then he does. It's almost like a last minute call of Roman Reigns saying, hey, we'll figure it out. You know, like, let's just make this call so that we don't have to redo any spots. And then once they got back there, they was like talking about it, because freak accident, I don't know, Roman was looking up and he was like, there was just an act of God that saved me. After he'd won the match, he was walking up to the ramp, and true to form, Roman was still talking about how he's the tribal chief. I'm the man in charge around here. I don't know how we went from the big dog, because that's what he called himself. You know, he called the ring his yard. You know, these are all things, by the way, that The Undertaker said once or twice before. And it's relevant, or it's prevalent that you know that, because whenever Roman beat The Undertaker, even though the victory's kind of tainted if you think about it, because he wasn't the first one to do it, you know. It's kind of like, if he was the first one to do it, then it would have meant more. But instead, now they have to keep bringing back Brock Lesnar as a, I'm going to put this in air quotes, viable threat. Because every time that Brock Lesnar comes back, it's only for a squash match. It's never for like big match spectacular, you know? It's never for like a actual run in WWE. an actual, wrestling run. Whether that be for a championship or for an actual tour of WWE. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's that time again. Time for me, Mocha, to sign off and tell you all to have a great day. And I'm losing my voice again. That's a wrap. And happy anniversary. I won't say to me, I'll say to us. The Gut Wrench. The Gut Wrench Dynasty. That's a wrap.